Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Today is going to be a philosophy hour. We're going to take a quick break from the news and use some of the things that I have in front of us here to look at life through a different prism, from a different angle, and hopefully it helps all of us put things into a different perspective in the way we make decisions, in our goals, objectives, our strategies in life on how we plan on living and gaining wealth, or the way in which we interact with other friends and family. But I wanted to talk about all of this as it relates to ownership mostly, because a lot of the conversations we have here on the channel, as you all know, get back to gold and retirement and savings and money and wealth. Basically that equates to material possessions, because gold and silver, they are a material possession. And I saw a quote recently. I actually put it in one of the videos, and it was from a Native American chief. I believe it was one of the chiefs of the Nez Perce. Many of the chiefs had these sayings regarding ownership, how you cannot own the land, how you can't sell the land. We're just basically passing through this life, and the land will always be here, which is so true. And so I hope you guys can strap in, pay attention for a little bit, maybe grab a cup of coffee and join in on the conversation and share your thoughts definitely at the end of this, because I'm a nobody. This is just my opinions I'm sharing with you and some of the things that I've learned over the years. But we'll take a look at some of the things here in front of us, okay? Just to kind of start off from and start the conversation up. You go way back in time, way back in history, and there were fish swimming in the oceans, right? All over the place. And through drastic changes, they had become buried under sediment and eventually fossilized. That fish was once alive, swimming around, and no longer the case. You have the shell here, also fossilized, found in the mountains of the west, and some limestone, and then some underwater sea creatures here. These are all things that I've found over the years. This is one of the coolest finds. Check this one out. Once a living tree, now a lump of solid petrified wood. Just a heavy rock. I actually had a fossil shop. I showed this to them one day, and they wanted to buy it. And I said, no, I found it. I think I'll keep it. You can see all the knots there. Some arrowheads that I'd found in the mountains over time. Pretty good napping patterns on them. Some of them are broken. This one's actually pretty nice. Broken, but you can see. Good point on there. Good napping pattern. Of course, you guys are all familiar with the silver dollar I keep in my wallet. As you can see, there's kind of a timeline here. A piece of broken glass I found tossed around inside of a lake. It said Portland on it. Who knows what jar that came from or what liquid it once contained. An old rusty key and an old buckle or strap for some leather that was found on an old, what used to be a wagon trail in the west of the United States. So most likely held down some cargo or was on a part of a saddle. And of course, my watch showing us the passage of time. Everything was once either alive or growing or created by somebody, made. As you all know, if you study the Native American culture, arrowheads were an incredible possession because of the effort and time that it was spent forming them. Yeah, they were a form of currency. They were a tool that was used to hunt, to gather. And when you lost one, it was a pretty bad deal. They didn't just shoot these and then let the arrow fly. If they hit an animal, they would recover it, and if they missed, they would go to find out where the arrow went and dig it up and keep it. Over time, through the last 70 centuries, we've talked about silver and currency and gold as currency. Coins, ever since even the Roman era, were formed, struck, and transacted with. There's no telling how many different economic transactions this silver dollar has been through since it was minted back in 1878. How many times it was saved, how many times it was stolen, how many times it was lost, how many times it ended up in a drawer and then found later to be spent on a steak dinner, a couple of beers, a night out. Who knows? Whether this jar was part of a picnic spread at a mountain lake containing a beverage of some kind and then lost or broken on the shore. This key may have gone to a steamer trunk containing lots of gold. I'd like to imagine that anyway. And then the key was lost, so they had to cut the trunk open, or who knows what the story is behind the key. But the key to all this is here. Time's passing on, and you and I are somewhere on that timeline of our lives. There's possessions, things growing, your garden grows and dies every year, and no matter how much money you save, eventually that money will remain and you will not. You know, this coin could have been part of a 70,000 ounce stash of silver somewhere at one time, and the owner is long dead. So I think that helps. It's kind of hard to boil this all down to the main point. What I'm trying to drive at here is there's an old Italian proverb, and it goes like this: when the game is over, the king and the pawn go back in the same box. So think of that as well. No matter how many possessions or how much power these brokers of Wall Street, brokers of power, these individuals, these heads of state, even the wealthy celebrities and the people who are famous for just being famous, all of them, you know, they think they're so high and mighty at these times, and they're so full of their own ego self that none of them, I don't think, or maybe some of them might, take a moment to realize, you know, how quickly time is passing for them. That their life is, you know, it's not measured in hundreds of years or even thousands of years. Their life is measured in small little increments of decades, which are broken down into years, which are broken down into months, days, hours, and seconds. So hopefully that kind of adds a little bit of, you know, it adds a sense of peace to everyone, I think, knowing that for me and for you, ultimately, we're all going to the same place at some time. The earth is littered with tombs of pharaohs, buried hoards of wealth that were once held by kings, crumbling castles, dilapidated old manors, mansions that are in disrepair. All those things at one time were brand new and being celebrated as the, you know, as the great residence or the great hall of some duke, baron, some leader, some Caesar, some king. In life, and when we're talking about all these things, gold and silver and possessions and investing and trying to gain wealth or keep what we've worked for so hard for, what we term the fruits of our labors, above all those things is our relationships with friends and family, each other, making good decisions, right decisions. And, you know, after we pass through this timeline in life and become a relic ourselves or a fossil, you know, the legacy we leave behind, the decisions we've made, hopefully good and right ones. But don't want to sound too preachy about that. Mainly the point of all this is going to be realizing that the possessions are just something that, when it gets right down to it, it's just metal, or it's just an arrowhead, a buckle or a key. That's really all they are. Matter, collection of atoms, particles, elements, you know, carbon. At one time, this tree, I mean, this exceeds probably 15, 20, 30,000 years in age. It was river tumbled, so I mean, this tree grew, it was fossilized after being buried. The earth changed, it was exposed, it broke up after it became stone. and then tumbled down into either a glacial or a river deposit. I found it in a gravel bank about a mile or 2 miles from the nearest body of water, which was a river. And it had been tumbled for eons. Now, you know, a lot of you guys that watch the channel, we see what's going on in the world. And the last video that we made, we talked about and had a discussion. We talked about, you know, the wars, all the rumors of wars and all the conflict going on. It seems to be a theme lately, how everything gets back to economic. You know, everything's getting back to money. Ultimately, it's, no matter what happens, it's going to fit somewhere in on that timeline. And a new era, a new phase, a new epoch could come about. But ultimately, it'll just be a footnote in history. You know, they'll find rusty shell casings or burnt out armored tanks somewhere on a battlefield somewhere in Europe or the Ukraine, the Middle East. And archaeologists and curious hikers will stumble upon relics that were today modern and new and being used. But I think the Native Americans put it pretty wisely when they said that you can't own the land, you can't sell it to your neighbor, you can't sell it to another tribe, you can't sell it to the white man, because it's not yours. You're just here walking over it. I'm not saying we don't have property rights, you can't own things. Yes, culturally, legally, you know, things have definitely changed. We're no longer nomadic peoples, we're no longer hunter-gatherers. And we've settled down. We've had, civilization has chosen to use farming and industrial revolution and to, you know, group up and form societies. But just keep that in mind when you look at all the possessions and things that you think you want, you think are important. You know, your car. You notice there's no. You ever drive by a junkyard? That's always a humbling, cool thing. I mean, this stuff's great, but you ever drive by a junkyard? Take a look, stop for a minute, get out, peek over the fence, and look at that sea of 1,000 cars. All of them were brand new at one time, and someone took it home with that new car smell and just cherished it. Put oil in it every 3,000 miles, buff the wax out, make it shine, and now it sits in a heap of crushed metal, rusty parts, and just stains and rotting interior. Just, you know, disgusting. But yeah, nothing's that important, really. All of it's just eventually a relic. So keep that in mind, keep it in perspective. Hopefully you can use this video as another prism to look at your day with today. Just kind of look through it and tell me what you think. What are your thoughts on the timeline, on what you see around you, on how you view just the world these days? And interested to hear some of the viewers on what their thoughts are. And to go ahead, and if you got some cool possessions or cool findings that you've stumbled upon, and feel free to share those in the comments as well. Because I think sometimes when you go through life and you find things like that, it's good. It's a good little reminder that you're here for just a little bit of time, and eventually you're going to go away and you won't be here anymore. So that's going to be today's video, unless any good breaking news comes out. We're going to go with a little philosophy video today. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for being here and being part of the Junius Maltby channel, the program. Hope you all enjoy it, and feel free to pop your comments below, like it, share it, and as always, join the conversation. Thanks.